As we consider the fallout from the Charlie Kirk shooting last week, we've been watching since the show started today, FBI Director Patel being grilled by Congress about the FBI's handling of the shooting. Of course, I think the FBI actually handled it quite well. And people are also looking at what the level of security was at the UVU campus. Now, there were a lot of other venues where Charlie Kirk had spoken, and what they did was, it seems like they had done, the Associated Press sort of did an analysis of the various venues and to what extent UVU's security compared with others. And I think the bottom line was that they didn't have the same level as some of the others.
And I do want to clarify that the Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason said the university's security plan is actually not part of their investigation at this point. But it's part of the discussion, right? And so as part of the discussion, he has been around. He's gone all over the country. His Turning Point USA organization is going to continue to have discussions around the country. They're going to be at Utah State on September 30th, I think, for part of that conversation, right? They have not announced who the speaker will be in the evening. But one of the things that struck me in the Associated Press article is that there was a sheriff's department in Central California. They did reconnaissance, of course, which, I'm going to assume maybe that happened here too. But when they were doing reconnaissance for a speaking engagement he was going to do there, they were looking at escape routes. They were looking at law enforcement, having some 60 law enforcement officials. This was an indoor event in a church. They had a couple thousand people, and they also did rooftop surveillance.
Yeah, and hindsight is 20/20.
Exactly.
And you can always say that, but this is probably, I don't know how many of these speeches Charlie Kirk had given, but probably dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds.
Lots.
At various campuses. And I'm going to show my bias. This is Utah. It was Orem. It was Utah County. Like, if I were advising their security, and I wasn't, and I'm not trying to play Monday morning quarterback, I would have said, don't worry about it. But you can't say that. There has to be some level of security, and they did have security there. I'm not saying they were lax, but I was saying there was reason for them to believe,
right,
reasonably, that this would be a peaceful event.
So Utah Valley University has, as I understand, hosted Charlie Kirk before. He was inside. In a ballroom. And if you've been there, right, it's like any other indoor venue. There's only a few doors that you can go in, only a few doors you can go out of. But he wanted it to be outside. It was Charlie Kirk's people that told UVU, at least according to what I'm understanding from a spokesperson from UVU, that he wanted this event to be outside. He wanted to be closer to people. He wanted to allow more people to be there and to interact with him. And we've already mentioned in the show, it drew about 3,000 people, but we know at this point they didn't do rooftop surveillance. And again, you have to question, okay, at what level, at which point do you say, okay, now we need rooftop surveillance because this person at this level of celebrity,
right,
they don't need rooftop surveillance, but this person does need rooftop surveillance. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. But now we are looking back and saying, okay, well, it doesn't have as much as in California.
Yeah, we did the same discussion when then candidate Trump was shot.
Yeah.
And an individual was on a rooftop or at some place nearby, and they're sort of out of their zone of where they were. The various law enforcement agencies said, well, that was out of our area.
Where they prepped.
Yeah, because in this day and age with high-powered rifles, and that's apparently what Robinson used, a 30-06 deer rifle, so to speak. He was apparently 175 yards away. That's a long shot, but maybe with technology and scopes and whatnot, not so much. But they did have 6 campus officers, which was a quarter of their force.
Uniformed. They
Yes.
also had plain clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the event, which had 3,000 people, it's a big event for that college, but
It's not. I don't think it's as big as graduation. I don't think
Right.
it's as big as a sporting event, as some
Right.
of the sporting events at least. Or right. So again, we've talked about this before. Are we going to start doing drones at football games? And maybe we should, right? Maybe we should have drones in the air for security. But you have to pass through a portal right to get in, but I don't know what they're doing in the air for aerial security.
Well, I'll tell you what, because of this, we'll be doing things different.
We
will
exactly
always
right.
do things different from
Look,
now on.
one of the things, that's exactly right. So we learn from things. And I don't know that it's Monday morning quarterbacking as much as it is learning, because sometimes you
Right.
just cannot anticipate the things. So there was a really bad fire in New York, and it was in the early 1900s, and it was called the Shirtwaist Fire. But one of the things that they realized then is that they had padlocks on doors because they were keeping workers there, right? They didn't want them to leave their shift. They wanted them to stay there and work. But what happened when it caught on fire, of course, is that nobody could get out. Well, now public buildings have to have escape doors. They have to have escape routes, right? So at some point, right, unfortunately something bad happens, then you start to reevaluate and say, well, I hadn't thought of that possibility, and now I do have to.
Right, and sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, we used to walk over to the old courthouse over here on where Library Square is
Right.
now, and just walk in, walk out, you
Yeah.
go back in the clerk's office, do whatever, and then one day I'm over there and I hear gunshots, and it
Oh my
turns out
gosh.
a bailiff. I was not near it, but I was just within earshot of it. Of course, we all thought it was a pallet falling down in the
Oh my gosh.
parking garage. A bailiff is shot. A lawyer was shot, and
That was Ronnie Lee Gardner, wasn't
Ronnie
it?
Lee Gardner, and then we
Wow.
have court security now,
Yeah.
and you go through a metal detector, and you
Yeah.
go through one in virtually every court in the state. And sometimes I'll go to a court that I've been to 100 times, and I'm go to the bailiff like, "Hey, it's me," like, "We don't care. Take your laptop out and
Yeah.
walk through the metal detector."
Right.
And now they're searching your cars when you pull into the Matheson courthouse. They make you open up your trunk.
Interesting. I had no idea. Oh,
You got to stop your car.
interesting.
You got to open your trunk.
Look, so the Associated Press article that is looking at security at other places, they talked to a police chief at Illinois State University, and he said it's hard to protect somebody when you have people on all sides of him, and he's specifically speaking about Charlie wanting to speak outside. And he said that they ran a security plan when they came to his campus, that he ran a security plan past Charlie Kirk's team by phone and then did a walkthrough, right? And he's assuming, and I assume as well, that Utah Valley University did the same thing, that there was a plan, that there was a walkthrough. Charlie had his own security detail as well.
Right.
That was for up close, right? We also had armed police, we know that, and plainclothes police in the crowd as well. And then again, now we're looking at, do we need to have aerial surveillance?
Right. And until this event, I guess, and I'll show my naivety, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I didn't realize who he was or what his
And I was only
popularity was.
Yeah,
Like,
I only know him tangentially.
Yeah, so I mean, you certainly the UVU people had looked at his history and looked at what he'd done at other campuses, and probably even talked to people at other campuses and said, "What level of security do you have?" But I don't know that there was any reason to think that something like this would happen. And we'll change things in the future. Things will be a lot different from now on. You even talked about, what do we do about football games, and
Right.
that type of thing.
I know.
We'll see.
It's again, the trade-off between freedom and security.